darlings, today I'm going to make a traditional Punjabi Indian dessert. It's rice pudding, also known as Kheer. Let's get cracking. I'll show you how. Hop on. So here I have a litre of full fat milk. Don't use skimmed milk, don't use half fat. What's the point? Full fat. In it goes. So what we need to do, we need to wait for this to come to a boil and then we'll move on to the next step. Patience is a virtue. So now my milk has had one boil. I'll turn the gas down a little bit and into that I'm going to add my rice. This is about a third cup of basmati rice, which, I'll just let you know, I soaked for about 15-20 minutes and rinsed it thoroughly in running water. So in that goes. Now that the rice is in there, it's a matter of being patient. Stir it, and what I'm going to add into that, just for flavour, some cardamom pods, about 3 or 4. This gives it a lovely fragrant, but keep it on a medium heat and keep stirring because you don't want the milk to burn and you don't want the rice to stick. We'll cook this for about 50 minutes to an hour until the rice is just giving way in your fingers. So, as you can see, the milk has reduced by half. I'm just going to show you the consistency of the rice and how it should look. So you can see that the milk has thickened, that the rice should be mashing like that. So as you're stirring, remember to keep scraping the sides down because that's where there's a flavour. Right, that's reduced nicely. We're almost there. So now it's time to add the sugar. Now I've got about a third of a cup here. You can always add more if you like it sweet. Stir. And now some golden sultanas. These are lovely. Nice little plump babies. In they go. Stir. Give this about, I'd say, 2 minutes. It smells bloody delicious. So I'm going to put some almonds in. These I soaked overnight, peeled them, chopped them, perfect. Stick those in. In you go. So once you've added in the almonds, you can see that it's gone really thick. So this is the kind of texture you want. We'll turn the gas off. You want this nice dropping consistency. Not too runny, not too thick. Now we're going to put in some crushed pistachios. Sprinkle them in, as many as you like. I think that much should be cool. Oh, it's looking so pretty. And that's it, guys. I think I deserve a little taste. Oh, it smells lovely. Oh my God. Perfect. And a few little rose petals. Oh, that looks so pretty. And there you have it, my darlings, my delicious, fragrant rice pudding. Can't wait to tuck it in.
So today let's make the mango kulfi. I've already kept 4 cups of milk to heat here. In fact, I'm going to bring it to a boil, and once it comes to a boil, I'm going to reduce it to a medium, and then I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients. As you can see, the milk is boiling and has come up. I'm going to reduce it to a medium-low. To this, I'm going to add 1.5 cup of milk powder. Stir this well. To this, I'm going to add 1/3/4 cup of condensed milk. Mix this well too. And now I'm going to add 2 heaped tablespoons of chopped almonds and chopped pistachios as well, 2 tablespoons each. I'm going to let this milk simmer on a low heat for 20 minutes till this whole thing slowly thickens up. Occasionally stir the milk. As you can see, we've kept the milk on a simmer for 10 minutes already and it has already started to thicken. Another 10 minutes to go. You can see how beautifully the milk is thickening. This is also because of the full fat milk that we have used. It's been 20 minutes, we had kept this milk on a simmer. It's become nice and thick. I'm going to add half a teaspoon of cardamom powder. Mix this well. My flame is on a low right now. Here I have taken 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch and I have dissolved it in 4 tablespoons of water. You can use milk as well in this. And now we're going to add this to the milk to make it nice and thick, and we're going to cook this for another 5 minutes. Keep stirring this continuously now. As you can see, the milk is nice and thick now and it's also coating the wooden spoon. Another 2 to 3 minutes to go. We have cooked this for 5 minutes and I'm going to shut the flame and let this cool down completely before I add the mango puree to this. The mixture has cooled down. I'm going to add a cup of mango puree to this and mix this really well. What a beautiful color we have here. I have a few kulfi molds here. I'm going to pour this mixture into the kulfi molds and I'm going to freeze it for 4 hours before we can serve it. You need to fill these cones right up to the brim. And now I'm just going to put them in a glass bowl and I'm going to refrigerate them for 4 hours before I serve them. It's been 4 hours. We'd kept the kulfi in the freezer to be set. Now let's just dip this into room temperature water so that we can easily get the kulfi out of the mold. The kulfi is nicely set into the cone. You can chop them into pieces and then you can serve it on a serving platter. You can garnish this kulfi with rose petals or chopped pistachios and almonds and you can serve them.
Well, like I said earlier, this is a very royal recipe, and by royal, I mean the difference between a Rasgulla and a Rajbhog is that a Rasgulla is absolutely neutral and a Rajbhog is stuffed with nuts and flavored primarily with saffron. On that note, what we need to do is put some buffalo milk to heat, and this one is stoned milk. So allow the milk to heat. Once the milk comes to a roll boil, we need to lower the flame and add in vinegar and water. Now, why vinegar and why water? Vinegar because we need to split the milk, and water so that we kind of subtly split it and not make it hard. We need it nice and soft, and that's the reason why we need to dilute the acid. So let's add this. Gently, just give it a stir or two and allow the milk to split, and this is going to take just a split second. Once the milk splits or separates into milk solids and whey, off goes the flame, and this now needs to just rest for a minute or so. The next step is to strain this, and for this, of course, I'm using a muslin cloth. Now, because there was the use of vinegar or acetic acid in this recipe, we need to wash it nicely because we do not want any acidic flavors in this recipe. Once this is done, we need to just collect the sides of a muslin cloth and press this well to remove all the excess water or moisture. Once most of the water is drained out, this needs to rest for at least 15 minutes. On top of this, just keep a grinding stone or a heavy plate and rest this. 15 minutes are up. Let's remove the weight and check the chana. Well, it's become nice, dry and crumbly. We transfer this on a clean surface because the next step is to knead this till it's nice and smooth. Well, at this stage, before kneading, we also need to add in some semolina or rava. The whole idea is to knead this well with the heel of your palm, push it back, bring it together, and that's how chana needs to be treated to be converted into this royal dessert. This mixture needs to be kneaded well for a minimum of 10 to 12 minutes or till it's nice and smooth. Now this is ready into a nice and a smooth dough. All you need to do is break a little marble-sized ball and mix in nuts. Now that's where the difference between a Rasgulla and a Rajbhog begins. Well, you can take crushed cashew nuts, you can take crushed almonds, you can take pistachios, choice is yours. To this, I'm also adding in just a few strands of saffron and knead this well. We need to divide this into 3 portions. And similarly, we also need to divide the dough or the chana into 3 portions. Just create a little dent in the center and place the nut chana right in the center. Bring all of this together and roll it into a nice and smooth ball. Ensure that there are no cracks or crevices while you're doing that because that may end up breaking the Rajbhog. Once these are rolled and ready, we need to place these under a damp cloth and begin the next step, which is poaching the Rajbhog. For this, we're going to take water and I'm going to use a pressure cooker or a pressure pan for this. We need to ensure that the height of the pressure pan is substantial enough so that the Rajbhog can bounce in nicely and not sink at the bottom. To this, I'm also adding in some grained sugar, and this is of course to sweeten it. Turn the flame high, and at this stage, we're also going to add in some food grade edible yellow color, and this is to get that nice, bright and vibrant yellow color. The sugar syrup has come to a roll boil. Time to transfer the Rajbhog. Let's cover this and give it 3 whistles on high flame. Well, the 3rd whistle's up, off goes the flame, and this now has to settle for at least 15 to 20 minutes or till the pressure pan completely cools down. While this is now cooling down in the poaching liquor, let's move this aside and let's make a concentrated sugar syrup. For this, of course, we need to heat a pan and add in water. To this, I'm adding in sugar. This is regular grain sugar. And to make a nice, deep, yellow-colored saffron liquor, I'm going to add in some more saffron strands and some edible food-grade color. Let's give this a stir till the sugar kind of melts away. Our concentrated sugar syrup has been bubbling nicely for the last 2 minutes. Let's transfer this in a deep bowl. Well, this is that bowl in which either you serve the Rajbhog or at least steep it for at least 5 to 6 hours. Let's check the Rajbhog. Here, if you notice, these have kind of doubled in size, and that's exactly how we want these. Squeeze the poaching liquor and transfer this into the concentrated syrup. Well, squeezing this at this stage would allow these in absorbing the syrup this time. Like I said earlier, this now needs to steep in at least for 5 to 6 hours, either at room temperature or in a refrigerator. Choice is yours.
So today I'm going to show you a Moong Dal Halwa and present it with a twist. So I have soaked 2 cups of Moong Dal for about 6 hours, which I'm going to grind to a nice fine paste using half cup of water. So I'm going to heat 20 tablespoons of ghee. I know 20 is a bit too much, but it's Diwali. Once in a while, it's okay to splurge. I'm going to add the moong dal paste that we have ground. And I'm going to saute this till the moong dal paste becomes nice and lumpy, and then it breaks down and the fat separates from it. The paste will now become lumpy and then it will start breaking down and it will release the fat. So we need to go on sauteing it till then. The color will also slightly change. As you can see, the ghee is separated over here. So let's add milk and water. So I have taken 2 cups of milk and 3 cups of water. I'm going to add this very slowly. Be very careful when you're adding this and just go on stirring. And to this, I'm going to add 1.5 cup of sugar. And I'm going to cook this till the halwa is ready, and I'm going to be stirring this occasionally. So we took almost 45 minutes to make this halwa, a little more than 45 minutes. And now our halwa is ready. We have been continuously stirring it. Now we're going to cool this down and then we're going to add the twist to it. The halwa is cooled down. I'm going to add some green cardamom powder, a teaspoon of it. Mix it well. So we're not going to plate this dish in a regular way. Now we're going to add the twist. So I have these small cocktail glasses here, which I'm going to fill half with the halwa. And now on this, I'm going to add whipped cream. Just top it up with whipped cream. Let's decorate these with rose petals. I have fresh rose petals here. I have some finely sliced almonds and pistachios which I had soaked in warm water for a few hours, and then I have peeled them and finely sliced them. Just going to decorate it with this. And now let's add some color to this with the pistachios.
Today, let me simplify one of my favorite Bengali sweets, and that is a Rasmalai. And what I'm doing is making it with just 5 ingredients. Well, you'll be thinking in one place I say it's a complicated recipe, but I'm using 5 ingredients. On another side, you see this whole array of ingredients here, which is kind of confusing. But trust me, what is important and critical are just 5 ingredients. Beginning with milk, sugar, vinegar, nuts and saffron or saffron extract, which actually imparts a lot of flavor to the rasmalai. What I'm doing is heating milk in 2 separate pans. This is 1 liter of milk and I'm going to make chena or chana out of this. In this one, I'm going to make the syrup or the ras for the rasmalai. While we are using milk in both the cases, it's absolutely important to heat the milk initially, or boil it rather, and cool it down completely, skim off the cream, because what is required for this recipe are the milk solids and not the milk fat or the cream. Stir this constantly. You do not need to reduce it or anything. The moment you start seeing that the steam starts jutting out of the milk, off goes the flame. And the next ingredient that goes in is vinegar or lemon juice, because with the use of the acid, we are going to split or curdle the milk. But what is important here is to dilute the vinegar with equal quantity of cold water. It is absolutely an important and a mandatory step to do this, because if you do not do this, the rasmalai tends to be rubbery or leathery rather than soft and spongy. We need to stir the milk and simultaneously also add in the vinegar, which has been diluted with water. Leave this aside for now. Do not use the same spatula in the other milk, because this one is not to be split. What we need to do is start flavoring this with, of course, sugar and saffron. So the first thing that goes into this is sugar. Stir this well. The main flavor for the rasmalai is actually an extract of saffron and cardamom. What I have with me is, of course, saffron and cardamom individually, but what I also have with me is saffron color, saffron essence, which is combined together. You get this in a lot of countries. What you also get is, of course, the saffron strands and the cardamom. But what I have here with me is a mix of saffron and cardamom. Well, I've been lucky to lay my hands on something like this. If you do not have this, what you need to do is dilute saffron in some warm milk, add in some cardamom and use that. This is a syrup which is cardamom and saffron together. So let's add in a little of this. This is extremely strong, and I think just a few drops are enough to flavor this milk. Let's give this a quick stir and turn the flame off. Your milk for rasmalai is done and ready. Do not forget the milk that has already curdled here. Time to wash this now. First we need to drain this, wash this well, so that the vinegar or the acid flavor kind of drains off completely. So let's take a bowl and a sieve. Let's transfer all of this into the sieve. Do not keep this in hot water for a long time. Remove all the excess water or moisture from the chena. And to help that and to wash it up nicely, we need to use some cold water. This is a very important step because it's important to drain out all the flavor and taste of vinegar. Once all the moisture or water from the chena has drained off, the next step is to start kneading this into a nice and smooth paste. What I'm doing in this case is I'm using a jar which we generally use for making chutneys. Because what I have figured out over the years of making rasmalai at home, that this possibly is one of the quickest tricks. Let's grind this. With this, our chena has become nice and smooth. What you could alternately also do is add in a teaspoon of arrowroot or corn flour. But trust me, if you're kneading the chena absolutely well, it's not required. Let's transfer the chena, which is nice and creamy now, onto the plate. The next step is to poach these chena into little dumplings into a syrup. Now the syrup is made using 2 cups of sugar and 6 cups, which is 3 times water. So this makes it 6 cups. We need to allow the sugar in this syrup, or this water rather, to start melting completely. And once that happens, we convert these into little dumplings, cut them and poach them into this. How? We'll just see. While the syrup is in the making, let's start converting the chena into little marble-sized balls and patting them into a shape that's very synonymous with a rasmalai. It's important to remember that the chena, while poaching in sugar syrup, kind of doubles in size. So while you're planning rasgullas or rasmalais, plan accordingly, because this now looks smaller, but once it begins poaching and once it's done, it'll double up in size. Here, if you notice simultaneously, the sugar has dissolved completely and the syrup is just kind of beginning to boil. Once this completely starts boiling, the next that goes in is the chena. Let's drop these in the syrup. You need to be extremely careful and gentle while picking up the balls of chena because you may just end up disfiguring them. This needs to now poach on high flame for 15 minutes. Do not tend to stir it or shake it, just let it boil on its own. It's been 15 minutes and the chena is perfectly poaching in this. Time to turn the flame off. And the next step is equally important as the steps before this. What we need to do is instantly start cooling or chilling the chena dumplings. For that, I've taken some ice in a bowl and I'm transferring rasmalai as well as the liquid into this. We need to cool this down completely so that the chena dumpling becomes nice and cold and will retain the spongy texture. In the interim, let's start chopping or slicing the nuts. I've taken a mixture of pistachios and almonds in this case. With this, all our components of rasmalai are done and ready. Now is the assembly. For these, of course, we need the chena dumplings to go in a tray. Try to avoid as much as syrup or ice cubes, if any. We need to top this up with saffron flavored milk that we made earlier. And finally, top this up with slivered almonds and pistachios. With this, your rasmalai is done and ready. Keep this in the fridge for somewhere around 3 to 4 hours so that the rasmalai or the chena gets nicely absorbed with the flavor of course, the sugar, the saffron and the cardamom. And trust me when I say, when you start making this in your own home kitchens, you'll stop buying from outside. And did we even realize, though this recipe looks complicated at face value, this one is made using just 5 ingredients. So this one is rasmalai for all of you across the globe.